Hey guys, so let's talk about last night's episode of Homeland. If you watched my last review, you know that I've been struggling this season, and I know I'm not the only one. This season has definitely been kind of slow. Last week's episode just kind of drove me a little crazy, and I've been waiting for Homeland to kind of find itself again. Thankfully, in this episode, that started to happen towards the end, so I am hoping that we're going to get some sort of momentum going, and that the goodness will continue. So, Carrie's stuck in the mental hospital, which is kind of driving her crazy, and it turns out that she's got a hearing, and it looks like she's going to get released. But right at the last minute, she sees a glimpse of Dara Doll in the hallway in the hospital, and she kind of gets that she's in trouble. So when she goes back into the hearing expecting to get released, the judge tells her, like, we just got an order from the Justice Department that says we can't let you go because you're a threat to national security. So she's frustrated. She goes back to her room, but within a couple of hours, she gets released. And it turns out that this lawyer that came to see her last week, that this law firm has gotten her out. Now, they've gotten her out because they want her to meet with one of the partners. So she's out, but it's only for 24 hours. And so she's going to run. Carrie's going to run and she's going to hide. She grabs some clothes and some other stuff like that. The problem comes when she goes to try to get some money out of her account, and she realizes that all of her accounts have been frozen. Her credit cards have been canceled, and then she gets that the CIA is watching her. She starts to get that they want to bring her in, and if they do that, it's probably going to be worse than it was at the mental hospital. She lays low a little bit, and then all of a sudden this lawyer guy shows up again to take her to see his boss. And so she goes, we think reluctantly. She gets there, you know, they have the meeting, and she finally gets this guy to tell her what he wants. Turns out he's got an Iranian client who basically wants to pick Carrie's brain. You know, he wants to use her as a consultant is what the guy says to her. But Carrie's smart, you know, so she gets what he wants. He wants her kind of in a subtle way to tell how things are working at the CIA, how they're managing to kind of find this guy's colleagues, as he calls them. Now, Carrie, of course, at first is just like, no way, like, you have crossed the line. I'm not going to betray, you know, my country, blah, blah, blah. But then the lawyer guy starts to tell her, like, look, we only got you out for 24 hours. You're going back in. The CIA is going to break you down. They're going to kill you. And we think that he's scaring her and that she would really do anything to not go back into the hospital. And so she agrees to do it. But she tells him, look, I'll only do it if I can meet your client face to face. No one else can be there. And I was really worried at that point. I was just like, Carrie, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. It just really looked like the CIA had kind of forced her hand. At the end of the episode, though, came the shocker. We see her go to see Saul. She walks out to find him on the porch, and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, what's she gonna do? But she just looks so kind of broken down. You're like, okay, Carrie, hold it together. And of course, Saul is really kind of like a father figure to her, and so I wasn't sure what to expect. But it turns out, you guys, that Saul and Carrie have been planning this whole thing. That they have some sort of master plan that they're working. They've basically been on the same team the whole time, and no one else knows that. So the whole bit with Carrie going into the hospital and all of that, they did that so they could draw this guy out, and they did it. So, I mean, it was really shocking. It was just classic Homeland, and I kind of love that. So yeah, Carrie and Saul have got a plan that they're working, and so I'm excited to kind of see where that's gonna go. We didn't see any Brody in this episode, but after last week, I'm kind of okay with that. And we did get some Dana scenes. So Dana's on the run with this boy, you know, Leo, from the hospital. She breaks him out, they steal her mom's car, and they go like out. I mean, like, they're gone, like, we're not coming back. Like, at one point, we see them in a garage, like, switching cars with some guy. I can't imagine her mom's gonna be all that happy with that. Mike was back in this episode, so that was kind of interesting. We do learn a tidbit about Leo, that he was in the hospital because of a suicide pact. So basically, he and his brother decided that they were gonna kill themselves together, but only the brother ended up dying. So they kind of throw that little tidbit in there, and it almost makes it feel like that's where he and Dana are headed. I will say, there was this touching scene where she takes Leo to the base where her dad deployed the first time he went off to war, and you get that this is the place that she really said goodbye to her father. She says at one point something like, this was the moment when he said the last true thing he ever said to me. Like, everything else he said after that were lies. And you get why this girl's life is just kind of in shambles, which is kind of sad. So after this episode, I feel like we are headed in a good direction, and I'm really excited about that. Love this show, and I'm hoping that, like I said earlier, the momentum keeps going. Okay, guys, as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.